This is the Welcome to Humanity podcast with thought leader and transformative psychiatrist, Dr. Fred Moss. This show focuses on the betterment of humanity on a global scale. Each episode will leave you enlightened, inspired, and ready to make an impact in your world. Welcome to the show. Welcome to your life. Welcome to humanity. Here's Dr. Fred.
Hello, this is Dr. Fred, and welcome to another episode of Welcome to Humanity. And today we're going to do something a little bit different. Today I've been asked by my co-producer, Ryan Levesque, to take a look at really what it means to be grateful. And what it means to be grateful is the topic of this week as we sit in the week of Thanksgiving 2020. Now, 2020 has been a year where some of us have found it more difficult than usual to be grateful. And, where we declare out loud that it's harder to be grateful in a year such as this as it was in years prior. And that may or may not be worth endorsing, but today we're going to look at this a little bit differently. And I'm going to look at this as the founder, the creator, the president of WelcomeToHumanity.net, and also, therefore, the founder and the host of the Welcome to Humanity podcast. And that's what you're listening to today. So we're going to take a deep dive a little bit into the world of being grateful or being thankful or giving thanks. Here's the opportunity to take a peek at. There are situations that are they occur and they have us feel something that we would otherwise call undesirable. Maybe we will feel fear, or we will feel anger, or terror, or sadness, or maybe we'll feel grief, or overwhelm, or anxious, or depressed. Or maybe we'll feel confused, or hopeless, or aimless, or maybe we'll have physical pain or emotional pain. Or maybe we'll feel helplessness, or maybe we'll feel nervous, or maybe we'll feel like there is no reason, or maybe we'll feel like we've been wronged. These are all experiences that are undesirable in nature. Maybe, we'll see someone else hurting, or we'll see someone else crying, or we'll hear a story about a group of people who have done something to another group of people that leave just treachery in its wake. And, or maybe there's things that we learn about that we now know has us thinking that what we did was wrong. Or maybe we learn that we have hurt somebody. Or maybe, all these things clearly are undesirable in nature. And the list actually goes on because that was only an unscripted sort of spattering of different aspects of life that are undesirable. Now, I'm not saying that being and having an undesirable experience is something that naturally calls forth being grateful or being thankful of or giving thanks to. Far from it. I'm probably more than most. I'm disinterested in having uncomfortable feelings. I become all of those things on any given moment might occur to me. I may dip through those experiences. They even may be the overwhelming experience I'm having in any given moment. The other side of the coin also exists. In other words, on any given moment, we can be caught up in the beauty of life. We could see something that is so gorgeous that we are just awestruck. We could see the beauty so to the point that we would cry with joy. We can listen to music, or we can hear the laughter of a child, or we can see a sunset, or we can feel the beauty of whatever another person, or a fur, or just running our hand through fresh grass, or I could think of a lot of things that we touch or that we taste, sensuous experiences what we might have. We could read a beautiful piece of poetry, or we could hear someone singing, or we could look at an incredible piece of visual art or of performing art, or we can relate to someone or know that we have been a contribution or know that we've actually helped the world move forward in one way or another that we can be proud of, or we could hug our child, or we could actually forgive somebody like from our heart, or we could just feel our heartbeat or feel physically beautiful and healthy, or we could just eat wonderful food or take a drink of a beverage that is extraordinary. We can share in the mastery of some people's achievements or some living items gorgeousness, living items exquisiteness, the growth of a flower, the smell of a rose, even the croak of a bullfrog or the purring of a cat. We can see and feel the beauty of a landscape. We can see and actually walk through mountains and riversides. All these things, and again, this is only just a simple splattering of examples, are things that are desirable. They're things that we might be called towards. There's things we would want to reproduce. These are things that we would want to have in our life, things that we want. We want desirable things, and we really tend to be repulsed or really not want things that are undesirable. It seems natural, doesn't it? Well, how are we going to make sense about giving thanks or about being grateful for these things if we look at them this way? And here's what I have to say about that. First of all, it's not simple. And as humans, we tend to judge things and call them good or bad. And in fact, when we're feeling bad, we think there's something wrong with us, which is simply not the case. I mean, it's like saying there's something wrong with your thumb when you hit it with a hammer, or saying there's something wrong with a log when it burns in a fire. It is the natural experience of what life has brought to have the concerns and the sensation of being undesirable, of being in pain, of being something that we otherwise wouldn't want for ourselves. So we want desirable things. We want that big list, the second list I gave of all those things. We would like life to be without fear and without pain and without sorrow, without grief. And we would like it to instead be with them in those things, the ecstasy, the beauty, the goodness, the exquisiteness that life sometimes brings us to offer. And then when those things happen, we don't think anything is wrong with us. We actually think that life is fantastic. And what I'm trying to put forth here, you may see if you take into the theme of the Welcome to Humanity ethos, you might see that really what I'm going here is asking us all to hover over the top and take into consideration the following possibility. Now, before I do this, I just wanted to, put out a disclaimer that maybe right now at this very moment, you're going through some exquisite pain. And I don't mean to minimize that. It's not like get over it. It's like, oh yeah, that's exquisite pain. That is completely undesirable. Maybe you've just lost something or even worse, lost someone. Or maybe you've just done something where you really are deeply in deep misery or deep pain or sorrow or deep levels of despair. I'm not minimizing that experience in any way. In fact, I'd like to maximize that experience. And so where are we going with this? I'd like to offer the possibility that we're really looking at fundamental, foundational components of what it means to be human. And while they're going on, there's also a tendency to pull back from things that are undesirable and head towards things that are desirable. And that also is foundational components of what it is to be a human being. So we, even in the notion of wishing that things were more desirable or hoping that they're not going to be undesirable, both of those experiences in wishing and hoping also enter the full range of what it means to be a human being. So wishing and hoping and wanting and preventing or avoiding undesirable things is all experiences of what it means to be human. It really means that all the things that we've been offered in this lifetime till now are part of what it means to be human. So let's look at a proof of maybe the possibility of experiencing all of this as being something that we could give thanks for, at least theoretically, if not practically. All right, I'm going to make a statement here. Every single thing that you have experienced in your life, all the things, all from super pain to extreme ecstasy, you have survived them all. You have lived through them all. You have actually made it to now, having experienced all the things from 0 to 100 that you have experienced in your life. And therefore, they can be chalked up to part of who you have become, including the part of who you become who wishes that this or that wouldn't have happened, or who hopes that that or this doesn't happen, or who really hopes that this or that does happen. Those kinds of things, those experiences are also direct and complete components or pieces or aspects, attributes of what it means to be a human being. Like these things all come with this ride through this present existence on earth. So this is a temporary existence we have. At least we all believe so, and I have no reason not to believe so. So, let's say it's 100 years, give or take, that we're allowed to stay on the planet. And some of us only stay, for much less than that. And, I guess there's no reason to just know that we're going to have even another second, because there was some time between me actually taping this today and you listening to it on the day you're listening to it, it was not entirely clear that time or that span of time was going to take place. So all we really have is this now that I'm speaking to right now. And in this now, there is an opportunity to stop, like just stop and drop and be grateful. Be grateful for every single experience, even the ones that felt horrible, that have led you to be who you are now, and the opportunity to experience the just entire complexities and the smorgasbord, the cornucopia of what it means to be human that you have lived through to this moment. And let's face it, if you're listening to this podcast, you have also had the opportunity to creatively set aside other things you could be doing with your time right now. Things must have at least calmed down enough for you to have the technological capacity to listen to what I'm saying and to actually be taking it in on the 13th or 14th minute of this particular tape, so that your world is, in the greater scheme of things, working pretty well, even if you are pretty certain that the worst thing in life has maybe just occurred for you. With all that so, there again is the possibility of incorporating even the most horrendous experiences into something to be grateful for, like chalking it up as a piece of human reality. Now, Welcome to Humanity is a entity that really attempts to take a look at what all of human nature has to offer. And, I'm not one to just point to only the things that feel good, or only the things that head towards ecstasy, or only the things that are satisfying or desirable. I mean, I, just like all of you, would rather have that than the things that are, undesirable or painful or treacherous or, terrifying. Those are real human experiences, however, and each and every one of these human experiences can be chalked up equally to being uniquely me or uniquely human. That when I bring forth these words to represent these experiences, the notion that you can hear me and make sense of it and actually relate to these words in a way that your life has contributed them to your experience suggests that each and every one of these experiences are at times a memorable and inescapable, true and important aspect of what it means to be human. in this level of what it means to be human, one could be grateful for having been given the opportunity to taste all of life that it has had to offer for you to this very moment. Well, after I hear myself say that, I'm like, wait, Fred, there's some things going out here that are just like, there's no way to be grateful for them. And I can really see that when I look at some things or some things that people do or some things that people say or some things that are going on, that for which humans are doing this or it's getting done to humans or getting done to life or unspeakable things, I also like immediately get, well, what am I talking about? How is it possible to be grateful or give thanks for those things? Again, what I'm offering you is the possibility of taking one step back and realizing that even tasting something that's horrible can be registered as an extraordinary human experience. So that even when this or that thing happens, and boy, I'm not saying every ounce of it deserves celebration, but I am saying that celebration as well as deep despair are both different aspects of what it means to be human, and in some ways, equal contributors to what it means to be human in looking at all the many aspects of the human experience. So on this Thanksgiving of 2020, it is an opportunity for me to really look at life as a whole, to realize that, to this moment, I've lived, I guess, 62 and 3/4 years of life on this planet. And I've had a lot of experiences. Many of them I would rather forget or I barely remember because they really were uncomfortable. And many of them I wish they would repeat themselves each and every day because they were so ecstatic. And I also get that, my experiences, the ones that appear to be irreversible or the ones that appear to be my fault, the ones that really hit home as being essentially intolerable, when I step back one step, I can get that we can chalk those hundreds or thousands or maybe even tens of thousands of different types of experiences into a big old basket that we will call humanity. Now, is it possible that I've made some sense for you so that by the time you're hearing this, you can get that life itself and every single aspect of it lead towards, at least in a global sense, the possibility of being grateful for having lived through any component of life from 0 to 100? Like, is it possible to see? Can you see? Can I see? I'm not a master of this in any way. And even being a master or not being a master of something actually contributes to this human experience as well, as if being a master is a better place to be than being a non-master. So I'm not a master of this. I don't have this whole aspect down. I have moments in my day, as I did even many times today, where I was unkind at some point or made a bad decision at another point or forgot to do something else at another point, or maybe even almost made a really terrible mistake at another point, or forgot to do something, or maybe I actually did something that I either regretted or I'm going to regret, and that was my day today. Or I watched or listened or thought of or feared or fantasized things that were either great or horrible. That was part of my day today. I dreamed, I breathed, I wondered, I explored, went through that was part of my day today. I adventured. Much of it, I feel like I was on a ride, my own ride, a ride on my own train. And some of it, well, I clearly authored and I'm responsible for. And you know what? Both of those things are part of what it means to be human. So what I really would like to leave you with this discussion is the notion that we really are the authors of our life, and we really have an opportunity when we step back, whatever it is that this we is that we talk about when we say the word we have the opportunity to step back and call all of this a human experience. Call all of this something to be grateful for. Call every piece of everything, and I mean everything, including the stuff that uniquely has you having much more pain than anyone you know, an opportunity to take a bite in even that undesirable aspect of human nature, in that undesirable aspect of what your unique life has brought you to this point that still has you alive, and to, in some ways, dig 1 ounce lower than that, 1 inch lower than that, and be grateful for the opportunity you have had, the moments you have had to experience everything from the most distasteful to the most wonderful on this planet. So as I sit here at the end of this podcast today, in session with Dr. Fred, I have at least found it in myself to wonder about whether or not I can be grateful for all of life. And for this moment, I see that possibility fairly clear. Now, really, this isn't going to stick. I already know that. There's going to be times, and it might happen even momentarily, where I'm not very happy about how things are going, and it won't be something that I equate to being grateful. But when I take that step back and look at it like even tasting something horrible, and I use the word taste loosely, of course, is an opportunity to chalk up a life experience for which I can be grateful to add to all of my life experiences. It is possible from there to be grateful for all of life and to give thanks for every single second that we have been here. And that's the opportunity I'm affording to you if you've gotten this far. Now, you can argue that, or you can say, no, it isn't, and then you should get that arguing with that and saying no, that it isn't. And whatever discomfort you have to argue with me or it about this is also part of life. That's also an opportunity to look at your disagreement with this or your unwillingness to accept this as being a component of life. And as such, an opportunity to give some gratitude or maybe maximum gratitude for the experiences that we have had in this life that lead us to who we are now, which is clearly at least surviving, if not thriving, in a life for which we can share with each other electronically this present opportunity for me to explore with you what it means to be grateful, what it means to give thanks. Happy Thanksgiving 2020. This is Dr. Fred. Welcome to Humanity, signing off. Have a beautiful weekend, have a beautiful week, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Welcome to Humanity.